In this video, I'm going to share some simple tips on how to save money inspired by Chinese traditions. My dad is really good at saving, and he passed down some great advice that I've learned from him. He's what you'd call a typical person from China who knows how to handle money well. I'm 100% Chinese, and while some people ask me if I'm half Asian, I've spent a lot of time in China. My mom's from Beijing and my dad's from Shanghai. I've had the chance to live in China for long stretches, both in Hong Kong and Beijing, and I've learned a lot about how people save money there. So sit back and get ready to hear some of the best tips on saving money, Chinese style. Here's a really interesting fact. In China, people save a huge amount of money. As of the latest data, the average person in China saves about 46 out of every $100 they earn. This is called the gross savings rate. That means for every $100 they make, they are putting away about $46. That's a lot compared to many other places around the world. Now let's compare that to the United States. In the US, people don't save nearly as much. On average, Americans save between $3.5 and $5 for every $100 they make. That's a big difference, right? While Chinese people save nearly half of what they earn, Americans are saving a lot less. So why is there such a big difference between the two countries? Well, a lot of it has to do with culture and how people view money. In the US, there's a lot of focus on spending, and many people are encouraged to buy things they don't always need, like the latest phone or clothes. In China, though, people are taught from a young age to save money because saving is seen as important for their future and security. In China, saving money is a way of life, and people have different values when it comes to how they manage their money compared to people in the US. This is just one example of how culture can influence how we think about and handle money. When it comes to saving money, there are some big cultural differences between the United States and China. In the United States, there's a strong focus on buying things. People in the US are often encouraged to spend money on the latest gadgets, clothes, or cars. There are tons of advertisements everywhere telling people to buy now and pay later. Many people use credit cards or financing options, which let them buy things even if they don't have the money for them right away. This is part of the consumer culture in the US, where spending is often seen as normal and even necessary to keep up with others. But in China, saving money is much more important, and the culture around money is very different. People are taught from a young age to save rather than spend. This is because saving is seen as a way to ensure a stable and secure future. Chinese parents often encourage their children to save the money they receive as gifts, like during Chinese New Year. It's a cultural value that teaches people the importance of being careful with money and thinking ahead. Another important difference is how Chinese people view debt. In the US, taking out loans or using credit cards is common, and many people don't think twice about borrowing money. However, in China, people tend to avoid taking on debt. Chinese people usually prefer to pay for things with cash instead of using credit or financing. This is partly because there is a cultural belief that living without debt helps keep your life simple and stable. It's also because people in China want to make sure they can handle any emergencies without having to rely on borrowed money. So, while in the US, the culture encourages spending and using credit, in China, the focus is on saving money and avoiding debt. These cultural differences have a big impact on how people manage their finances and the choices they make about money. Chinese people save money for many reasons, and a big part of it comes from the cultural values and traditions passed down through generations. First, money holds a very important place in Chinese culture. From a young age, children are taught that saving money is not just a good habit, but a way to ensure a stable future. In fact, in Chinese society, having money is often seen as a sign of success and respect. People with money are looked up to because they are considered successful, and many believe that wealth brings respect and a comfortable life. This cultural emphasis on money encourages people to save and work hard to build their wealth. One of the well-known traditions in Chinese culture is the giving of red envelopes during special celebrations like the Chinese New Year or birthdays. These red envelopes, known as hongbao, usually contain money, and it's a custom for children to receive them from their parents, grandparents, or other relatives. This money is called lucky money because it's believed to bring good fortune and blessings for the coming year. While many children are encouraged to spend the money they receive on small treats, they're also taught to save it for their future. This tradition plays a big role in teaching the younger generation the importance of saving and being careful with money. Another reason why Chinese people save money is because wealth is often seen as a sign of success. The more money a person has, the more they are respected in society. Being able to provide for your family and maintain a good standard of living is important in Chinese culture, and saving money is viewed as one of the best ways to achieve that. People believe that money brings stability, security, and the ability to take care of their loved ones, which motivates them to save and invest carefully. The one-child policy, which was introduced in China in the late 1970s, also had a big impact on people's saving habits. Under this policy, each family was allowed to have only one child, and families were often fined if they had more. This led to many families focusing all their resources on one child, which meant they didn't have to spend as much on raising multiple children. Because of this, parents were able to save more money for the future. The one-child policy also created a situation where the only child had to work hard to take care of their aging parents, making financial security even more important. Finally, the demographics of China have also influenced saving habits. In the past, there was a preference for having male children because sons were expected to take care of their parents in old age. As a result, there were more boys born than girls. This created a supply and demand issue, where many men had to work harder and save more money to be seen as successful and to attract a partner. Because there were fewer women than men, being financially stable became even more important for men in China. All these factors, cultural values, traditions like red envelopes, the importance of money as a symbol of success, and government policies, have shaped how Chinese people approach saving money. They understand the value of saving early in life, and it becomes a lifelong habit that is passed down through generations. In many countries, people save for retirement by putting money into special accounts like 401ks or IRAs. These accounts are designed to help people save for when they stop working. However, in China, there aren't any retirement plans exactly like these, which makes people think differently about saving for their future. In the United States, for example, people can put money into a 401k or an IRA, which are both types of retirement accounts. These accounts allow people to save money over the years and invest it, and the government helps by giving them tax breaks. This way, people can grow their savings while they're working, so they have enough money to live on when they retire. But in China, things work a bit differently. Instead of 401ks or IRAs, China has a pension system. This is a program where the government helps provide money for people when they retire, but it's not as common or well-developed as retirement plans in other countries. The pension system is usually only available for people who work in state-owned companies or government jobs. Many workers in private businesses, especially those who work in small companies or in rural areas, may not be covered by the pension system. Because of this, people in China can't always rely on pensions to support them when they get older. So, Chinese people often take it upon themselves to save and invest money for their future. This means that saving money is even more important in China than in other countries where there are better retirement systems. Many people in China choose to save money on their own, often through personal savings accounts or by buying real estate. Owning property is seen as a way to secure financial stability in the future. While some people may have access to the pension system, they know that it might not be enough to live comfortably when they retire. This is why many Chinese people start saving money early, focusing on building wealth so that they can support themselves as they get older. They understand that they can't depend solely on the government, so they take the responsibility for their own future into their hands. In fact, because the pension system isn't as widespread or reliable, people in China have learned to be very careful with how they manage their money. They know that their future depends on the financial decisions they make today. That's why saving and investing are so important in Chinese culture. They're not just ways to have more money now, but also to ensure a comfortable and secure life after they stop working. So, while China doesn't have retirement plans like 401ks or IRAs, the lack of these systems encourages people to be more independent when it comes to saving for the future. Many Chinese people rely on their personal savings and investments to make sure they are prepared for when they retire. It's all about being responsible with money and thinking ahead, even if there isn't a government-backed retirement plan to rely on. The secret to saving money that many Chinese people use is called zero-based budgeting. It's a simple but powerful strategy that helps people manage their money by making sure every dollar has a purpose. Essentially, it means that every month you start with zero and decide exactly where your money is going to go. This way, you know exactly how much you can save, and you're always in control of your finances. So how does zero-based budgeting work? It's not like the usual way of budgeting, where you might just track your income and expenses without thinking too much about every cent. Instead, with zero-based budgeting, you take your total income for the month and divide it into categories such as rent, groceries, savings, and entertainment. You assign a set amount to each category so that at the end of the month, the total amount of money you plan to spend or save adds up to zero. Here's how you can implement it in your own life. The first step is knowing how much money you're making. This is your total income, which might include your salary, allowance, or any other money you get regularly. Next, list every single thing you spend money on. This includes everything like rent or mortgage, food, phone bills, transportation, and even small things like coffee or snacks. Don't leave anything out. You need to know where every dollar is going. Once you have all your expenses listed, decide how much you're going to spend on each one for the month. This is where the budgeting magic happens. If you know you spend $500 on rent, that's easy to write down. But for things like food or entertainment, you might need to estimate. The idea is to plan ahead and be realistic about your spending. A big part of zero-based budgeting is saving. You have to treat savings like an expense, so make sure to include it in your list of things to spend money on. For example, you might decide to save $200 each month for an emergency fund or for something special, like a vacation. By planning to save first, you'll make sure you're putting money away regularly, rather than waiting to save whatever is left over after spending. Now that you've listed all your expenses and savings, the most important thing is to make sure the total of your planned expenses equals your income. If your expenses are higher than your income, you'll need to make some cuts. Maybe reduce how much you spend on eating out or lower your entertainment budget. On the other hand, if you have money left over, you can put more into savings or investments. The goal is to make sure there's no extra money at the end of the month. Everything should be planned for. One of the biggest things that helps Chinese people save money is their choice to stay away from expensive items or things that show off their wealth. While people in some countries might feel the need to buy expensive cars, big houses, or designer clothes, many Chinese people don't think these things are necessary. They focus more on the value of what they need rather than spending money on things that only look fancy or impress others. This helps them avoid spending a lot of money on things that don't truly add value to their lives. For example, instead of buying the newest smartphone every time a new model comes out, they might stick with an older one that still works fine. By avoiding luxury items, they can save more money for the future, or put it toward things that are more important, like their health or education. In China, a lot of people are careful about spending money on wants instead of needs. A need is something you have to have, like food, clothes, and a place to live. A want is something you'd like to have but can live without, like new gadgets, luxury clothes, or expensive coffee every day. Chinese people focus on fulfilling their needs first, and they spend as little as possible on their wants. For example, instead of going out to eat at expensive restaurants all the time, many people prefer to cook at home or eat simple, healthy meals. They know that spending too much money on things that are not really needed can stop them from saving and planning for the future. By cutting down on unnecessary wants they can save more money for things like buying a home or paying for their children's education. All of these habits, avoiding luxury goods, living off a small percentage of income, focusing on needs versus wants, and eating at home, are simple but effective ways that Chinese people save money. These habits help them spend wisely, avoid waste, and make sure they always have enough money for important things like emergencies or their future goals. By following these smart habits, anyone can save money, no matter how much they earn. I encourage you to think about applying some of these tips in your own life. It doesn't matter how much you earn. It's about being mindful of your spending and making smart choices. Whether you're saving for something special, planning for the future, or just trying to be more financially responsible, these habits can help you reach your goals. If you're interested in more money-saving tips and ways to manage your finances better, be sure to like, subscribe, and on your notifications to get more content like this. We'll continue sharing helpful advice to make saving money easier and more effective. Keep saving and stay smart with your money. See you next time.